All right, gang. So here we are. We're in Chapter 11 now. And Chapter 11 deals with server monitoring and backup. So we've got 4 objectives: monitor Windows Server, backup Windows Server, recover Windows Server from a backup, and backup and recover specific roles. Now, if we're going to monitor Windows Server, these problems with server performance sometimes reveal themselves over time, and it's not something that is obvious at a glance. It's something that builds up. Now, reviewing past data to detect trends is the best type of analysis to perform. Now, categories of information you can monitor are events occurring in the system, tasks running on the system, and resources being used. We'll use Event Viewer to review the events recorded in logs. Event Viewer is a useful tracking tool that tracks down system or application problems, investigating security violations. Event Viewer can also react to events. You could create a task that runs a program or script when a specific type of event occurs. Now, Event Viewer offers ways to search, filter, and sort event logs. We create a filter, select a log in the left pane, click Filter, Current Log, and the Actions pane. Now, clicking a column header sorts an event log based on the column's contents. So here we are. We sort them based on event ID, source, log, log name, size, modified, any of these things. Okay. Now, to create a task that runs whenever a particular event is logged, right-click an event in a log. Click Attach Task to this event to start the Create Basic Task wizard. And then we've got options. What do we want to have happen? If we want to start a program, send an email, display a message, what event gets triggered? Okay. Now you can create custom views to pull data, multiple logs based on the criteria. We can export it to an XML document, run XML queries on it. There's a lot we could do. We can export it. Now, you can use forwarded events log to view event information from remote computers in a single log. We can use Task Manager. We got 5 tabs: Processes, Performance, Users, Detail, and Services. Now, this is common to all Windows OSs. Now, the Processes tab offers perspectives on what processors are consuming and at what level compared to other processes. We can also see CPU and memory usage as well as network usage. So here we go: Processes, Performance, Users, Details, and Services. Performance tab in Task Manager is basic monitoring of CPU, memory, and network adapters. We could check a thread. It's the smallest piece of program code that Windows can schedule for execution. A handle is a reference to a resource on the computer. So here we go. We're looking at CPU performance. We could click on memory and look at memory performance. Utilization, processes, threads, handles. We can see everything. How long it's been up. Same thing with memory, Ethernet, and there's another one that was not connected. Now, the Users tab in the Task Manager shows the CPU and memory for each logged on user. So you may have one user that's just beat the system up, and we could go find out what that one user is doing. Now, service can be started, stopped, or restarted by managing services in the Task Manager list. We've got to be careful because some services may be running in a tree and they're associated with other services that are going on. Now, with resource monitoring, you review processes that have stopped, respond them, and close them. You can restart them, pause them, or end the services, or start them if need be. And we could do that using resmon.exe at a prompt. So here we go with resource monitor, and we could go through, check the CPU, look at the process ID, description status, how many threads it's got, CPU, and the average. So each one of these tools helps us to see how this system's running. Okay, we've got more of the same. Now the memory tab graphs on the right shows overall memory. Now it's divided into process and physical memory sections. So we can see physical, any changes, and any hard faults that took place. Okay, down here we see physical memory, hardware in use, modified, standby, and free memory. So it's all color coded. 68% used in physical memory. All right. So it's more and more the same that we're going through, and each one's just a little bit different processes with the disk activity. So we've gone from overview, CPU, memory, now we're on disk, and the next one will be network. So on the network tab, shows overall network bandwidth over the past minute or 60 seconds, the number of TCP connections, and the current utilization of Ethernet connections. So here we are in the network tab. We've got the processes with network activity, TCP connections. Here's our graph for the last minute. TCP connections, Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2. So, Performance Monitor can collect and combine data from 3 sources: performance counters, configuration information, as well as event trace data. It can monitor real-time activity and review logs for historical information. So here we are, Performance Monitor. And we can open up the Resource Monitor. We see here's a system summary, what's taken place. On the next one, we can break it down into a report looking at percent read time, percent write time, and just really drill down into the data and get counters and click on green to assign the icon in the toolbar. So we could schedule data collector sets. To create a data collector set, we just right click the data collector set and schedule it by clicking properties. Then you click the schedule tab and then add button. It's straight through to go set this thing up. And here it is. Okay. Now, performance alerts. We talked about that. If we got issues, we can have it email us, throw a message up, whatever it may be, same as the other. Now, when it comes to backing up Windows Server, we've got Windows Server Backup. It provides methods to back up and restore an entire system, or just a critical operating system component. Windows Server Backup recognizes special services like Active Directory and Hyper-V, and it makes backup and restore easier in some circumstances than an all-or-nothing endeavor. Now, backups are necessary for server hardware failure, disk failure, volume corruption, deletion of files, software failure, theft, or disaster. Now, we can use PowerShell commandlet, install Windows feature, Windows Server Backup. After installing it, in the Windows Server Backup console, we're in the WBADmin or WBAdmin command line program and PowerShell commandlets. Now, we've got local backup GUI. It's pretty straightforward, step by step. We'll back up files and directories, restore files and directories, and we've also got system. We can shut the system down. All right. We can have full backup, custom backup. We specify the destination, how often it happens. Could be multiple times throughout the day, however we want it. It's all how fast the data changes. And just keep in mind, the more frequently we do it, the less time it takes. So here we are, specify the backup time. Okay. Here, optimize backup performance, normal backup, faster backup performance, or custom. Now, you can use the VSS admin command line program to configure the volume shadow COI service. You can create, delete shadow copies, and list existing shadow copies. Now, you can also revert a volume to an existing shadow, and that overwrites the volume on a previously created shadow copy. So, if we're going to back up server roles, Most server role data is stored in locations that are backed up if you perform a backup containing the system state. Some roles features applications and server register themselves with Windows Server Backup. So here's commandlets if we're going to do these backups from a command line in PowerShell. And there's a few more. Now when it comes to Windows Server recovery, it could mean that we're just recovering a single file or folder, or we're going to do a full restore because the whole thing's crashed on us. We could recover files, folders, or volumes, system state recovery, or bare metal recovery. Now we could do the same thing in command line, and we've got the WB admin start recovery command, or the start-wb file recovery PowerShell command line. All right. Okay, now we'll select a location for the system state recovery, the original location or an alternate. Performing a bare metal recovery or a BMR. It's a task when there's been a catastrophic failure. Hyper-V backup includes two separate aspects: backing up Hyper-V settings such as virtual switches, live migration settings, replication configuration, and so forth. Backing up virtual machines and their guest OSs, as well as associated data. All right. VMs can be running or shut down when you do the backup. And here we are doing a backup of Hyper-V. You do it of system state, bare metal. So we just pick what it is that we want to have backed up. Okay. So if we're going to back up Active Directory, we've got WB admin, start system backup. We've got Active Directory restorations. Do the same thing in Command Shell. And we just go pick how we're going to do it, what it is we want to repair. Here we're doing an Active Directory repair with safe boot. Okay. So we've got the ntds utility.ex command. Or we could use the PowerShell command restore ADO object or AD object PowerShell command. Okay, so we've got some more PowerShell commands, commandlets, and monitoring performance is critical, and we know that with everything that we've done so far. We can't just assume things are going to keep running the way they should because problems come up. We've got a number of tools that we've gone through so that we can back up and restore should an issue come up. All right. So we can schedule a backup to happen when we're not there. We can back up roles. We can back up the entire system, or we could just be down to update Hyper-V settings or virtual machines. We can update Active Directory. Now it usually happens whenever we do a domain controller backup, full backup, or backing up volumes that do contain system recovery information and system state backup. All right. So the IIS is a web application server role, and we can back up that as well. So we'll see you in the next one.